you very much for coming this afternoon. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the film. Watching as much as I did. These fine gentlemen were nice enough to, well, they're here for the festival. I hope you get to stay later today for the Dick Wagner and his band from far ends, Ray Goodman, SRC and with Detroit and other bands.
Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels.
And then in the center is Dick Wagner. I could take all day to name the bands that he was in, so I won't even go there. But and the closing credits was his song, an original composition that he was nice enough to do for the band for the film. And then Al, who now that you have a mic in front of you, Al, you have to recreate that scream.
Oh, thanks. I can still hit that sucker, though.
I know.
You did a show last summer, we'll do another one this summer. So.
Yeah,
Plus, I have the pleasure of singing with Dick Wagner, so it's a great thing.
So I don't know if there's any questions or if you guys want to throw. Oh, sure, please.
I just have one comment. I grew up listening to those bands, and I never knew. Like, I thank you so much. I never knew. I haven't heard of the El Grande, but it was such an eye-opener.
Oh, you weren't familiar with the ballroom itself?
No, not having grown up in Canada. I listened to Grand Funk and MC5 and all those bands. I knew they were from Detroit. They scared the shit out of me, but I knew they were. But I never knew. And the editing was just stunning.
Oh. Yeah, and you know what? And that brings up a really good point. I stand up here, you know, as a producer director, but obviously not an army of one to make a film like this. Carl Rausch, who did the editing for the project, created the I'm so glad to be here and sends his heartfelt thanks. What he did to bring this to the screen, I had an idea, I had a dream, I had a concept of what I wanted to do, but he took it to a different level with the editing that he did. When we started working together, we've both been in the business for over 20, 25 years, respectively, each of us. And so when we started together, I didn't know him prior to working with him on this project. I walked into his edit suite, and it's just filled full of albums, and I knew we had a common thread. He wasn't from Detroit, so he didn't know the story. He knew of the bands, but didn't know of the Grande and the kind of the legends and stuff. I was born and raised in Detroit, so for me it was part of my DNA growing up. I'm not of age to have gone there. And so over the last 4 or 5 years that it's taken to make the film and get it out there, I've had the pleasure of becoming good friends with Carl and as well as some of these guys and learning some of the real stories of it. So thank you. And the music, I'd like to think that the film originally, when I started, was going to be about the music, but as I found out, and I hope you guys recognize that the Grande became a culture. The musicians kind of brought people into the building, but if you weren't a musician, you lended your talents with the light shows, or the poster art, or the fashion of the times, or the journalism that took part during that time frame. So I'd like to think that's one of the highlights for me, at least in the film, is that people get intrigued by the music, but you see what it did as a community.
For Dick, fine print reader on the back of album covers and guitar player kind of, and you know, I would look always on the back of the album covers, read the liner notes, and I knew if Dick Wagner's name was on it, that it was a buyer, that I would buy it. And I was introduced to a lot of bands because I was drawn to your guitar playing initially, and that's how I got introduced to so many different acts through your guitar playing. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm curious what you have, what your future holds for you musically. What?
The future holds for me musically. Well, I'm going to be playing at the festival 8:30 tonight. That's the immediate future. That's the immediate future.
And he filled the place last night.
Oh, we had a lot of fun last night. Yeah. Very exciting. The audience was very lovely, and we look forward to it tonight. In fact, I want to thank Stu Lane for bringing us up here. And I want to thank Tony for calling me and saying, I'm going to do a film about the Randy Ballroom, and I want to interview you. And then, what was it, like 3 years later, we finally interviewed you.
Actually, Dick was the first musician that I reached out to. When I started the project, the song that kind of, I mean, everyone's familiar with MC5 and Kick Out the Jams, and that's kind of, ties in with the Granny, but for me it was rock and roll music from the Frost.
Yeah.
And that was a tune that was it for me. And so I was like, and this is my first film, so I thought, why don't I call the guy that wrote the song and see if he'll let me use the song, and I can interview him and we'll do a movie. And he said, oh yeah, that'd be great. So that started kind of a bit of a friendship, didn't it? Yeah.
So we've been friends ever since.
Yeah. So his song starts the film.
How much I admire you for actually getting to this point. I mean,
That's right. Right on.
The tremendous undertaking it is to make a movie in the first place.
Yeah.
And you're a guy from Detroit who had a dream, and I'm a guy from Detroit who had a dream.
There you go.
And we're both living our dream.
There you go. The movie does start out with Dick's music, with rock and roll music, and it finishes with the Motor City music. So yeah, and I know you'll hear one of those songs tonight. I'm not sure which one, but I think it's going to be the Frost, huh?
We are prepared to do rock and roll music by the Frost, yes.
Yeah, yeah. No, so come out tonight.
We haven't practiced Motor City music yet. We're going to do Mystery Man.
Well, Mystery Man.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
did as
Mystery
well
Man
as
was
rock and
also
roll music.
Yeah, that was on there too.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yep, with Dale will be singing tonight, and Ray will be playing guitar.
This guy right here is such a great guitar player.
Absolutely.
I'm going to hand him to Dennis Burr, another great guitar player.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sandwiched in the middle. And it's hard keeping up with these guys. No, it is actually. I spent 5 years coming back from being DOA at the hospital, with a heart attack and a stroke at the same time. And so for 5 years, I couldn't even pick up a guitar. So I had to work my way back. And these guys agreed to get together with me and, get me back up on stage and get me back playing again. And so they were like big support to me, because if I came to a moment when I either couldn't remember what I was doing or didn't feel like I could play what I was going to have to play, they'd always step up and fill in and make me look good. So I thank them for that. The same with Alan, because I also had some problems singing, and this guy just steps up. So I'm able to now in my shows, I'm able to present my music, all the songs I've written, and still play and have great support from everybody. And when I go to sing and I know, oh, I can't get that note again, I just go like that.
It's a nice job, Dick. I like it.
He just jumps in and man, there it is. Okay,
You want us to pay you now or later?
I'll take that. What is it, 20? No, I love these guys, and it's a great band, and it's been a struggle putting it all together and making it work. But if you want to see some rock and roll from eras, I started back at the Frost in the 1960s, and then Ursa Major, and Lou Reed, Alice Cooper in the 1970s, and then Tim Curry, and Air Supply, and Aerosmith, Kiss. I've done a lot of things and a lot of records, and we kind of covered a little bit of all of it as a retrospective of music for 50 years of being a guitar player. And last night I played pretty good. Yeah. It was a really good night. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to it tonight.
What time is that show tonight?
It is 8:30.
It's right down at the Veterans Drive Amphitheater, isn't it? It's really
Yeah,
nice.
so like on a little street.
Band shell, excuse me.
The band shell, yeah,
band shell.
we're on the street there, we can.
We're all wearing Speedos tonight.
No, you guys are.
I don't think so.
I'm wearing the jock strap and the safari hat.
I just had a question about
Yes, sir.
the footage of the ballroom. That is what it looks like today.
Yeah, that footage was shot
Recent.
3 years ago when the project started.
Yes,
Never
sir.
thought about, I know Detroit's in big financial trouble, so that they would never think of it as a historical.
There's been a questionable series of people who supposedly own the building.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, it's owned by a church now, but I don't know if they're going to exercise it or what they're going to.
Detroit is a huge city, landmass-wise. It's, from what I understand, you can put Manhattan and Boston inside the city limits of it. Where the Granby Ballroom is, isn't anywhere close to an entertainment district. It's on the farther west side of the city of Detroit. So, although there's a lot of rejuvenation with the city and things are coming around, it's in the downtown area. Yeah, that area is a little bit farther out. So, and I've often said this, is that the unfortunate thing about not only Detroit, but just the United States as a whole, is that we don't embrace history like they do over in Europe. You know, I've been over there a number of times, and you get to go to these great places, and you're in the midst of a 16th century castle, or you're in the midst of, you know, something from the 14th century. Here, they decided that it'd be better to put a parking lot, you know, where there was a beautiful place, and so maybe that'll just change as a concept, just to kind of take it in and.
Wasn't there a big push for, was the Fox Theater right downtown?
Yep.
That is booming. The downtown area is booming. It's beautiful. It's city.
And this is just too far
Miles
out.
away, too far away. It's off the radar.
It's about a mile and a bit from actually where the riot started, which again is out. Although it's in Detroit, you know, if you ever get a chance just to look at the size of the city limits itself, it's a very large citywide, you know. So what has been going on, and hopefully there's a group that's trying to get a historical marker on the building, and if there's enough awareness about it, if the film gets it out there enough, maybe there's something that could happen with it, and they could do something like that. You know, that's one of my hopes. You know, so we'll see if that works out.
There was if I might make a comment. You had asked a great question earlier about the Grandy Outlet being such a cultural center. The fact of the matter, besides the Grandy being sort of a cultural center, the entire state of Michigan for a while was the greatest place in the world to do gigs. I mean, I've toured, you know, the world and toured in the East Coast, West Coast, and there were so many gigs, it was ridiculous. A lot of musicians didn't get to hang out at the Grandy because they were all working. There were festivals up and down the west coast of Michigan. There was multiple teen clubs, university. It was just crazy. So there was so much work. And then when a lot of that work went away, the whole thing fell apart.
You can certainly go.
But there was an incredible scene for a while in Michigan. I mean, there was so much work. It was a dream. You know, people were playing all the time. We played sometimes 6 days a week, 5 days a week. Original music. You know, playing original music and being asked to play, encouraged to play original music. You know, bands were getting deals right and left. You know, and some of the people that came out of it, besides even, you know, Dick, you know, Ted Nugent, a woman named Sean Murphy, incredible singer. She sang with Little Feat. I mean, there's Drew Abbott, who ended up playing with Bob Seger, played in Third Power. I mean, and Ray's played in numerous other bands still, and a lot of these cats and men and women are still making music. I never stopped, you know. But there was a great scene there, incredible.
Since you're talking about the Grandy spirit, I just want to comment that I met these two gentlemen more than 40 years ago at the Grandy Ballroom, and here we're all in the band together. So.
Yeah.
Another thing I'd like to add is that I hope that people will revisit some of the music that's in the film. Al was with Savage Grace, incredible band. There's at least 2 songs that I've got from that are in the film that are just incredible. Dick's stuff in there that's with the Frost, the Rationals. We mentioned Wilson Mower Pursuit with Sean Murphy. Obviously Iggy Pop and MC5, Ted Nugent.
Did I hear a Frigid Pink?
Yeah,
Frigid
Frigid
Pink.
Pink.
Third Power.
Yeah.
Yeah, Third Power. The whole soundtrack is all just Detroit music. People had asked me, you know, with all these great bands that came through there with Cream and Pink Floyd and Zeppelin and Grateful Dead and all the blues and stuff like that. This is a Detroit documentary, and so it had to have the Detroit music. And the hardest part about that was just fine-tuning it. There was so much great music to pick from that it opened my eyes to some incredible artists that might not have been on a national level like we think of with Ted Nugent or Bob Seger or something like that. But when I listen to that music now, it holds its own. That I went back and revisited the SRC stuff that you played with, Ray, and Savage Grace stuff. It's phenomenal music. If you get a chance to get tied into it, to iTunes or something like that, I highly recommend it. When people think of garage rock, these guys were playing in the garage. You know, I mean, this is the beginning of that music. You know, it's not. There wasn't a precursor to this stuff. This was the creative edge that they brought out was everything, you know, that was fueled by a place like the Grandy that wanted just people to play their own music and not do cover tunes. So I give these guys a lot of credit for all the music.
And the Grandy was packed every weekend. We were called Grandy Rats or something. I forget what the term was.
In the summer, when it was 95 degrees, you had to walk up to the level of the Grandy Ball.
With the strobe light on, so you didn't know you were in this
It was
stuff.
so friggin' hot.
No AC.
And we get up on stage to play, and we were a little more energetic back then. A little younger. And you come off stage completely and totally drenched in your own water, sweat, and feeling like you're going to die of a heart attack, and just completely, you leave everything right there on the stage, except for the sweat you take with you. But it was an incredible experience. And then you look down at the audience and you see there's like 3,000 kids there. And they're all doing the same thing. They're all going crazy and getting all sweaty. So it was a kind of a messy scene, but it was beautiful. It really was.
I don't remember feeling the heat.
Me either, you know, that's a great, and you're right, it was, but I don't remember, you know, you wouldn't think, especially while you're performing, when you're playing, it's like, and then you come off the stage and you go, I can't see because there's too much salt in my eyes.
You used to really have to rub it out.
Yeah.
I know I did.
And now that you mention it, a lot of the footage, people are looking pretty sweaty.
Yeah, well, there's no air.
That was part of the look, though.
In the summer, it would get above 100.
Yeah. Easy.
You know, the regional artists that Wagner and the ones like him had such a great appreciation within the region. They didn't have to take their shows national. They had work every week, multiple
We work 7 days a week.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not holding anything back. I think the point that I was trying to make was just the fact that it should be more appreciative than it is. I hope people at least think to revisit it, you know.
The regional audience in the Detroit area is greater than any regional audience anywhere else.
It is, and the city of Detroit has, every decade there are new artists and new trends that are created in Detroit. And it's more prolific than any other city, including LA and New York. You hear original music and new stars, whether it's R&B, the Motown, or Kid Rock, or Bob Seger. I mean, there's just so much music comes out of Detroit. And, you know, you've got this downtown that is all modernized and beautiful, and then you've got surrounding it. It's like a war zone. All these things are burned out, and it's just pitiful. And then you get out a little ways out in the suburbs, and it becomes beautiful again. It's a real economy of how people live. And out of all of that, and especially when we were doing it during our scene, it was very industrial. You know, I mean, it still is. We still have the car companies, but back then, you know, General Motors was riding the #1 corporation in the world. Now it's Apple. You know, so you go in, you get a Macintosh now, you don't buy a Chevy. It's completely different. But I'm just always impressed by the nature of what happens in music in the city of Detroit. And it's partly because the support there has always been so incredibly up with Detroit. You know, it's like the people who live there, they take great pride in their city and their music and their sports teams, and they're junkies. And I'm telling you, the burned out sections are rows upon rows of houses down the streets, every one of them burned out.
Still.
Complete destruction. Partly from the 60s and during the race wars, but partly just because malicious people wanted to destroy things. You know, I don't know what kind of pleasure it gets them.
Partly because of Friday night.
What is Friday night?
They generally just arson.
Oh, arson and Friday night. There's a whole album in that.
Yeah, Devil's Night, right?
You know something? There's a whole album in that, in Devil's Night. I'm gonna have to write it.
Another happy song.
Well, he asked what I'm doing for the future. I am actually producing an artist from Denmark, and we're doing an album August and September. Then I'll be back, and we're going to be back out on the road again this fall. And we're just striving all the time with the band to get more recognition and be out further away from the Midwest, but we are playing the Midwest and Canada. And it's all just a beautiful area of the country. And we love it, we grew up here. Our Canadian friends, you know, we're all U.S. citizens, but our Canadian friends are just great friends and great supporters of the music and of us in our attempts to keep moving forward. I mean, like, I was talking about being sick all those years and I couldn't play. But I'm back now, but I'm 70 years old, you know, I'm not a kid anymore. But I want the kids to enjoy it, and I want everyone at every age to enjoy the music that I make. And with these guys playing, you know, it's very universal. I think people will like it. 8:30 tonight.
That's right. Yeah.
There's one more thing they brought with them. You know that weather we got out there today? That's what it's like in Detroit all summer long, and that's what they're talking about the Grandies. So I think you brought a little bit of that up here.
We tried. It was on our boat. You know, I noticed this big yellow spot.
Any more questions? Because we're going to wrap it up. If there's any more questions, we have another showing at 3.
Are you going to do another movie, Tony?
We're going to do a movie showing at 3, so... Tony.
You know what? Just released another film that I was part of, a tribute to Ron Ashton of the Stooges.
Yes.
That just got released a couple days ago. It's out on DVD. And we're starting to work on one about the Detroit Jazz. Detroit, for me, I've traveled the world for work. I've been in the business for over 25 years. I'm very grounded in Detroit, and I think there's a lot of great stories, and it keeps me close to home. So I've got some other things I'm working on right now. This, for me, was just kind of a challenge to myself to do something that I've always wanted to do. I think everybody has a film in them, or a book, or a song,
Yep.
or something that they want to commit to paper or to, you know, whatever your medium is. I believe that it's there. I've got a couple of younger kids that I want to show that even after 20 years of being in the business and doing a lot of really great things, that everybody should challenge themselves to take things to a different level. And that's really what it was for me. It's brought me into a different level with where I'm at professionally. I've been accepted with other people. Michael Moore handpicked my movie for Traverse City.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to be it's shown at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's won Best Documentary in Las Vegas. I was in Los Angeles last week. It was very well received there. I was in London this whole week. You know, the future looks bright.
And Tony, was this a Canadian premiere? Or
This,
did it show
you know,
in
this was, no, it actually showed at the Victoria Film Festival, which is in British Columbia, so that's, I
So
think
we're
we have
in
to
the
accept
other-
that. What's that?
So then, not bad.
No, everyone to me is, I'm always impressed that more than one person shows up for this film. So, thank you. You know,
We got people, we got guys that drove from Detroit to see this
right
film.
on, right on. I'm buying this beer. Yeah.
Tony, mention, Tony's gonna be filming our show June 28th
Yep,
in
right,
Callahan's
yeah.
in Detroit. We're gonna do a live DVD and CD for
Yep,
it.
that's
And we're also gonna release it in vinyl for vinyl collectors.
Man, I've got a busy schedule. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you're very busy, and you better be there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, anyway, if there's
I
no,
want to say that I grew up in the culture, you know, I was from Pontiac. You guys were just like always huge rock stars to us, whether you got any national noise or not. It didn't matter to us. You guys were all rich.
You know what? I want to put in just one thing before everyone leaves. This Wednesday, could you stand up, please? I heard you for the first time yesterday with these guys.
Wednesday, yeah.
Amazing. Doesn't go unnoticed.
8:30.
8:30. Thank you, people of Stratford. I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you for coming. If you paid for the first show and you want to watch it again, by all means, feel free, but there's some great music happening down there, too.